Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, today we're going to be looking at reptilian alien abduction. Welsh experiencer describes encounters and missing time in the Cardiff-Swansea corridor. And we have another article from, Wales in England, folks, of people seeing aliens. Either way, that one includes school children and their teacher. Let's get into this article, folks, though, and read this first story from Wales about alien encounters. For years, Hilary Porter publicly claimed that Wales, especially the corridor between Cardiff and Swansea, was an active zone for unexplained contact events, missing time, and alleged alien abduction activity. Her account matters because it combines childhood onset encounters, recurring bodily marks, telepathic communication claims, and a location-specific pattern that echoes Wales' longer history of UFO lore. Let's get into our story now and read the full account, folks. Hilary Porter, a Welsh-born experiencer who later became associated with BEAMS, the British Earth and Aerial Mysteries Society, publicly stated that her encounters began in early childhood. She said that one of her earliest remembered experiences occurred when she was about 5 years old while playing in a field in Wales. According to Porter, a reptilian-looking being suddenly appeared, seized her, and pulled her into a disc-shaped craft. She recalled being taken into a room with consoles, colored lights, and smaller figures moving about before being placed on a table and subjected to what she described as a painful procedure with a sharp instrument. Porter also believed that activity may have started even earlier. She said her mother noticed unexplained disappearances when she was very young, with the child later being found considerable distance from her home and unable to explain how she had gotten there. In Porter's view, those incidents may have been earlier manifestations of the same phenomena she would later interpret as abduction. Indeed, folks, it sounds like that to me, but they also remind me of the missing 411 cases where children disappear in state parks, along with basically adults, folks. But we can talk about that a little while later. One of the central episodes in her case allegedly took place in September 1970. Porter said she and her then husband were returning from Ireland and heading toward the old Severn crossing when both of them seemingly lost time. They then found themselves outside Cardiff near a garage with no clear memory of how they had arrived there. She said the experience left her shaken and physically unwell. She also claimed that the car's fuel usage did not seem to match the distance that should have been traveled, deepening her suspicion that something anomalous had occurred. After returning home, Porter said she discovered unusual triangular marks on her stomach, which she described as suction-like blood marks. She said the marks faded quickly, but the incident stayed with her. Years later, she reported dreams and flashbacks involving a hexagonal or otherwise unusual craft interior, an alien presence, and a sense that the more benign imagery she remembered may have served as a cover memory concealing a more traumatic experience. Porter later developed the theory that the entities she encountered were not simply visitors from another planet. She publicly argued that they could move people at a molecular level, create portals through solid barriers, and operate from another dimension or state of reality adjacent to her own. In one recalled sequence, she described being on a beach with a roughly 6-foot-tall being in green overalls or coveralls who communicated telepathically, warned of an earthquake, and then led her into a small vehicle that transferred to a larger craft. She later suggested this memory may itself have been partially staged or altered. She also claimed there have been later incidents in Wales, including walking with physical after effects such as a black eye after staying at a friend's house. Over time, she came to believe that certain populations, particularly Celtic groups in Wales, Scotland, Ireland, Cornwall, and Brittany, were being selectively targeted for genetic reasons. That conclusion became one of the more controversial parts of her public testimony and was repeated in interviews and conference appearances connected to the AMAC network. By 2014, Porter was speaking publicly about these experiences in connection with abductee and contactee circles. She was listed in connection with BEAMS and appeared in AMAC-related material, while conference listings from that period identify her as a speaker and experiencer. Those appearances helped move her claims from a private narrative into the broader British UFO subculture. But there are more stories, folks. Additional contact, similar activity in Wales. So let's read on to this next story, folks, because it's very interesting. Involves school children. Inside the 1977 UFO sightings in Broodhaven in Wales, folks, and talk about how these school children, much like with other groups of children from around the world, folks, have encountered UFOs, and in some cases, along with their teachers and principals. Either way, let's read on, folks, because it's very fascinating. 2 alien craft sightings occurred in Broadhaven between February and April 1977. The most famous among them happened on February 4th when a total of 14 children at a local school claimed to have seen a 50-foot-long metallic spaceship shaped like a cigar flying around the perimeter of the schoolyard. Some of the children also claimed that the object landed and silver creatures emerged and began to explore the terrain around the landing site. Ooh, that sounds interesting, folks. And much like the first case, folks, these alien beings have been seen in Wales. There have also been other parts of the UK that have also experienced such sightings as well, folks, and we've read about them too. But let's continue with this story, though we are not going to cover the other encounter that took place in, Broadhaven in April 1977, because the more famous case is the one I want to look at, folks. So let's continue with it and hear exactly what these school children saw that day in 1977. The children tried to report the strange things they saw over the course of their school day, but teachers didn't take them seriously. Instead, they asked their pupils to draw what they had seen, and each in turn drew a silver object roughly the same shape at the time. BBC Wales Today spoke to several of the children about what they saw and asked whether it could not have been something else, like a helicopter. One child says no, reasoning that since the land beside the school is private property, no helicopter pilot would land there. In 2017, another one of the children, Davies, spoke to the BBC about the cigar-shaped craft. My sighting only lasted a couple of seconds. It popped up and then went back behind a tree, he said. Now, from the story, folks, a lot of people will say, well, they're just children. They're obviously making things up. But the thing, as the article will say later on, folks, is that they've kept to their story for quite a while since they were children, and none of them have ever changed their accounts. Let's read that part now, because it really hammers home how much these children have stuck to their story and how much they want to be believed. Speaking to Wales Online, ufologist Emily Williams shot down some of the proposed explanations because of the trees. A helicopter wouldn't have landed there, and it would have been noisy, he said. Some people think it could have been a military jet that landed there, but again, that would have been really noisy. Farm machinery was also suggested, but again, that's unlikely because a lot of the boys were from farming backgrounds and were very familiar with that. Indeed, the children seemed assured in their accounts and genuine in terms of how much or how little they saw. One child can lie, but can a whole class? Williams asked. Over 40 years have passed. At least one of them might have come forward to say they made it up, but they haven't. Indeed, folks, not one of these children have come forward to say that it was all a lie. I mean, that's all it really is if these children made it up, folks. I mean, it's not like it's a real hoax. They didn't basically fake any, photos or anything like that. All they had was their word, and they stuck to that. And not one of these children decided to come forward, even basically to just maybe get a paycheck by basically claiming that they made it all up. No, they just stuck to this story, folks, and that's incredible. That basically brings a light to this particular story in Wales, that maybe indeed these children saw something they could not explain. They saw this vehicle. Now, could it have been that this vehicle was some sort of government aircraft flying through the area? As I've said before, folks, it makes no sense for some of these black budget, top secret aircraft to be seen by random people like this. Occasionally, they do get seen. I will agree to that, folks, and they get mistaken for UFOs, but not in this case, folks. It seems too stupid. But then again, I'm not exactly an expert on the, geography of Wales. Is there maybe a British air base nearby? Maybe it was flying some sort of top secret vehicle? As I said, I don't know. I can only just guess at it, folks. And like with the first story with our witness, could it be that these entities are similar or even the same ones that our, experiencer basically has had to deal with throughout her life? I don't know. All I can do, folks, is just say that this, along with all the other signs that basically I've read through, these things have happened to people, at least as much as they basically say. Either way, truly a fascinating story, folks. But now we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in descriptions or the chat to go subscribe me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure to hit the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Until next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.